Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
Doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League and Scottish Premier League results, giving a little news update from football, from some updates around the world of football. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off as always with the English Premier League. So I'll just quickly run through the results. So on Friday the 27th of February, one match which finished Wolves 2, Aston Villa 0. On Saturday the 28th of February, the results finished Bournemouth 1, Sunderland 1, Brentford 3, Burnley 3, Brentford 4, Liverpool 5, West Ham 2, Newcastle 2, Everton 3, Leeds 0, Man City 1. And then on Sunday, the 1st of March, the results finished Brighton 2, Nottingham Forest 1, Fulham 2, Tottenham 1, Man United 2, Crystal Palace 1, and Arsenal 2, Chelsea 1. So which match, Pearse, stands out to you the most?
It's got to be Arsenal 2, Chelsea 1. Just because of it's probably the biggest match of the weekend, obviously London Derby. And obviously it just keeps Arsenal keep on winning. Wasn't the greatest game. All three goals came from set pieces, all from corners. Two of them were own goals. So in terms of there's no surprise there in terms of Arsenal, they're set piece FC. And that means just you may as well have Tony Pulis in the dugout. That mean or Austin McPhee, set piece specialist. That means so.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. In terms of the spectacle, it wasn't the greatest, but it's obviously just Arsenal just keep in this kind of squeaky bum time at the end of the season. They just need to keep on winning and churning out results, and that's what they seem to be doing. On a sour note for Chelsea, Pedro Neto got a red card, two bookable offences. The red card they got in terms of the second yellow, it was on a yellow, and he just takes Martinelli out of the game. It just daft, and that is now Chelsea's ninth red card this season, which I think is horrendous
yeah.
disciplinary record. He's giving Diego Simeone a run for his money.
I know, mate, I know. It's it's really bad. It's a young team as well, but Chelsea as well. That's what I think it comes from. Just a lot of experience in that team as well. Because I actually think they're a good team, but a lot of young players that not don't have that experience yet, and things like that are happening a lot, especially in the big games as well. So that cost them quite a lot. Because I actually thought they played well. But my match that stands out, I have to give this one a mention. It's Burnley 3, Brentford 4. Not every day do you see a 4-3 result in the Premier League, but we got that on Saturday. So in half an hour, Brentford were 3-0 up. You're sitting there going, well, that's it. Easy peasy win for Brentford. This could be really ugly for Burnley. But they clawed their way back into the game um, in the second half. So they got a goal before half time, which was 3-1 at half time. But then, second half, Burnley got an early goal, and then they scored another goal, and then it's 3-3 in injury time. And then in the 93rd minute, Brentford score. So you're thinking it's a heartbreak for Burnley. And then in the 103rd minute of injury time, so there was a lot of injury time added on in this match. Burnley scored. It was literally the last kick of the game. It would have been 4-4, last kick of the game, and they get disallowed. And I've seen the goal so many times, and how it's disallowed, I have no idea. I don't even think it hits his. It is a handball. That's why it's disallowed. Apparently, Ashley Barnes has handled it before he hits the shot, and I just don't see it at all. It was a big heartbreak for Burnley. You know, lots of goals in that game, and it just for Burnley as well. Because I'm going to talk about Burnley a lot in this podcast, but I think that result probably, I mean, it probably reassures them they're going to be going down this season. Just haven't really hit the heights. They had a good season last season in the Championship, but I think they found the step up really tough in the Premier League, and it does look very much likely now they're going to go down. And then Brentford, they got away with one there on Saturday, but I think the manager there, Keith Andrews, he replaced Thomas Frank, but he's he's done a brilliant job. I think a lot of people, myself included, were really worried about Brentford at the start of the season. They lost Mbumo, they lost their manager, they lost their captain, Norgard. That's a spine of a team, a manager, and they've actually exceeded expectations. I mean, Keith Andrews has done a fantastic job there. Got the striker as well, Igor Thiago, who's I think it's like something like 16 Premier League goals this season, something like that. It's definitely in double digits, but he's been really good this season for Brentford. And they're actually pushing for European places. So they're writing about it. So it's they're just such a well-run club, Brentford, and any setbacks they get in terms of losing players, losing managers, they just seem to bounce back from really quickly. So that was definitely my standout match. Felt that match was definitely a standout for me. You were saying there about, I just want to ask you this, Pearse. You were saying there about the Arsenal Chelsea match.
Mm-hmm.
Now I watched that match, and I'm going to be honest with you, I did find it boring. I mean, all the goals in that match, for example, they all came from corners. There wasn't really much open play situations in the match in terms of chances. And Arne Slot, the Liverpool manager, was asked yesterday about the Premier League, and he said that he's going to be honest and said that watching the Premier League now is a hard watch because a lot of the teams, majority of the teams now rely on set pieces to win matches, whether that's long throws, corners, free kicks. They just like lumping it into the box now and try and score the goal by beating their man physically. What do you think about that, Pearse? Do you agree with that? Do you think the Premier League is becoming more boring now? Are they struggling in terms of watching open play football? What do you think?
I agree with Arne Slot. I think it's a tough watch most of the time. I think a lot of the teams play negative football. A lot of teams playing for set pieces, and then the teams that don't play negative, they just play side to side, and it's quite slow and pedestrian. So I think in terms of Arne Slot's take on it, I think it is get boring. I think a lot of the Maverick players that we had in the past, players that would just grab a game by the scruff of the neck, beat a couple of players and score a wonder goal. I think that's long gone now. It's more all to do with systems and players moving into specific places, areas of the pitch, and like you say, set pieces are now becoming back are now a trend again. It's like every game is like if your set pieces are good then you've got a chance of winning the game, which I think for me, set pieces like a bonus. It should be done by your style of play, and it should be exciting to watch. I remember watching the Premier League like years all my life, but I think the last couple of years it's been tough to watch. I think for me, not being biased, I think the Scottish Premiership is more exciting to watch. It's fast paced, entertaining. There's goals galore, and like you say, there's a four-horse title race.
Yeah. Just with I just want your thoughts on that. I do. I'll be honest with you. I do tend to agree a lot more now. I think since Arsenal the last couple of years, they've sort of mastered the art of set pieces. Like I swear every corner I've seen them take, they score from it or they nearly score. So I think a lot of teams look at that now in the Premier League and go, well, I think that's the blueprint to sort of try and win matches. Try and get as many corners as we can in the match and score from them and score from set pieces. And I think you do see a lot now with teams that you know you don't see. But when I watch the Premier League now, I'm not really seeing lots of games anymore where it's very much with the ball on the ground, passing it, fast paced counter attacking football. I don't, apart from Man United, really, I don't see that a lot from other teams now. Um, you know, which is pretty sad to see. But I do think at the moment the Premier League is, in my opinion, is sort of in a bit of a stale situation in terms of lots of games now are getting decided by set pieces. And you might like that, you might not, but in my opinion, I quite like to see games won by teams playing good football and open play. You know, you know, sort of like that Liverpool team under Jurgen Klopp. Very fast paced football, counter attacking football. I quite like to see that rather than watching sort of games getting won by set pieces a lot now. So, yeah, it's quite an ongoing discussion right now. A lot, in England about where they see the Premier League in terms of style. So, yeah, I just thought that was worth mentioning.
I think it comes down to one man, Tom.
Sorry?
Pep Guardiola. It comes down to one man, Pep Guardiola, who's ruined football in England.
Yeah, you could say that, but then a lot of people say Mikel Arteta because
But who
ever
did
since he's took over Arsenal, this
who,
set piece thing is just gone through the roof.
but who is Mikel Arteta an understudy to?
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, Pep Guardiola. Yeah, a lot of people say that. Yeah, a lot of people have a lot of people don't like the Arsenal set piece coach. They all say that this guy's ruined football because well, but then Pep Guardiola, well, he's probably had a lot to do with obviously the style of football. But then the thing with Pep Guardiola is that a lot of people admire the way his teams play, but then you're getting teams that are coming up from the Championship, for example. So the biggest example was Burnley under Vincent Company. He was wanting to play
Hmm.
a style of play with Burnley, sort of like that Pep Guardiola style of sort of football, and they were just well and truly out of their depth, and they couldn't cope with that style of play in the Premier League, and they were very comfortably relegated. This was a couple of seasons ago.
But look up now. He got the
Whereas,
job. He got the job at Bayern Munich off
but
the
now he's
back.
got a job at Bayern Munich where players are much better quality.
They
He's
can-
at a team where they dominate every match, so that style of football works. But
That's what I'm saying. If he didn't implement his style and stick to his philosophy, he would never got the Bayern Munich job. If he just tried to change to be
mm,
pragmatic and try to stay in the league, he would never got the opportunity.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Risk,
um,
risk for reward. That's what I'm saying.
yeah. But then, yeah, exactly. So you can look at it both sides. But then Bayern Munich users sat there and went, "Oh, but look at all the results he was getting." Because that season with Vincent Company with Burnley, it was terrible for them. They were well and truly relegated in the very early parts of the season. They never really had a good season. So um, that, but then I accept teams like that coming up from the Championship playing like that sort of style of football where not that playing the ball on the ground, rather this trying to overpower their teams, ball up in the air a lot more. Like I respect that more from teams in the Championship coming to Premier League because they don't have the quality of player. But then when you've seen the quality of player that's not good enough and they're trying to play with the ball at their feet, it's a tough watch. But I suppose it's two sides to look at that. But yeah, that's just wanted to mention that. So we'll move on now into the Scottish Premier League. So on Saturday, the 28th of February, the matches finished Motherwell 2, Dundee United 0, Livingston 1, St Mirren 1, Dundee 3, Hibs 3, Falkirk 5, Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 1, Aberdeen 0. Then on Sunday, the 1st of March, we had one match, which was Rangers 2, Celtic 2. Now, I think we should just go with that match first. That was obviously the biggest game of the weekend. We also had Hearts winning 1-0 on Saturday, so that put a lot of the pressure on in the Rangers Celtic match. But that match finished 2-2. So we'll just start with that, Pearse. What's your thoughts on that Rangers Celtic match?
Well, it's the game of the weekend of any league. It was I know, it was entertaining to say the least. It was a game. It was old cliche, the game of two halves. I thought Rangers were electric in the first half. Um, Celtic were at pedestrian speed. I think they're shell shocked. The atmosphere was incredible in terms of the energy that the fans created at Ibrox. And I think Celtic were stunned, and I think they couldn't keep two or three passes together. They kept going long ball, and then they couldn't hold the ball when they went long, and then it was just wave after wave after wave of attack. I thought Mikey Moore in the first half was really impressive. And obviously the two goals with Trimiti are incredible. The first one, just a technique
Yeah,
over the kick, and then the second one, just to flick it around the corner,
yeah,
and get the second touch and knock it past Sinisalo. And then you're thinking, there could be a cricket score here. If because even Scott Olsen at the outside of the post. And then right at the start of the second half, Romans had a unmarked half volley at the back post where you're thinking that could be 3-0. But it was never meant to be. That was the highlight of Rangers' second half. And then Celtic made two changes at half time. It was Rio Hatate on for Alexander Chamberlain, who I thought for me massively struggled. He was a passenger in the game. Another player for the Premier League is just kind of not up to the speed of the Scottish game. And then Adamo again up front struggled. He got bullied, ragdolled by Fernandez and Suter, and then they moved Maeda up through the middle, and it was just wave after wave of Celtic attack. And I thought that was down to one man, and that was Rio Tati in terms of just getting the ball, keeping it, passing it, moving, and then Rangers tired. In terms of that, there's so much energy put into the first half, first 50, 55 minutes, and then you're just tired. And naturally, when you've got a 2-0 lead, you then start to drop a little bit deeper, and they just couldn't get out. And then eventually, Celtic get the first goal through Tierney, brilliant header, and then the second one, um, a penalty right at the end of the game. And for me, it's a Stonewall penalty. I don't know how long John Beaton takes to give a penalty, but for me, Dujon Sterling at the time of the game, I was watching it live. I thought it was what a save by Jack Butland, but then when you see the replay, it's like one replay that you see, and you see it was clearly deflected off Sterling's arm as he's trying to just jump across. It's obviously not meant it, but it's still you're stopping a clear goal. And for me, I think it should be a red card. And the fact that they never even get booked for it was for me is baffling. And then also Luke McCowan had a gilt edge chance right before as well. So Celtic could have eventually won it in the second half, but I think if you said to any Celtic fan at half time, they'd have bitten your hand off for a draw. And if you said that to any Rangers fan, they'd have laughed in your face because they think they'd easily gone and won the game. But for me, the overall winners of that game is Hearts because obviously they've now extended the lead at the top of the table because both sides have dropped points. But for me, it's such an entertaining game.
Yep, you pretty much, hit the nail on the head with the review. Very simple, very much a game of two halves. I actually thought Celtic started with the wrong team. To be honest, I was quite confused why Oxlade-Chamberlain started that match. He hasn't really played any football for 2 years. He's only had a couple of appearances for Celtic, whether that's playing 20 minutes. He's not played a full 90 minutes, and then he's getting started in a match with that magnitude, with that atmosphere, with that energy. I did think he would struggle, and to be honest, he did. He did struggle in the match. The same with the striker Adamu. They both get taken off at half time, which I thought was right. But as you said, Pearse Rangers in the first half were just blew Celtic away with the pressure they put Celtic under. Celtic couldn't really play with the ball. They kept in the first half, especially Celtic, they kept playing it. They kept kicking it forward. They weren't really putting the ball on the ground and passing it, and they just kept giving Rangers the ball back. So that was giving Rangers more confidence. And then they got that goal, that first goal, and wow, it's probably up there with one of the best goals in a derby in this derby especially. It's the technique he got on the shot, and it's just it was a power as well. It's just no chance. The keeper, I mean, the keeper's not even seen it, and it's already in the net. It was just a unbelievable kick. So you're sitting there going, well, Celtic have got it all to do, and then Chumit again scores the second. A bit of a mess from Celtic, to be honest. Dane Murray doesn't clear the ball, and then Araujo should he deal with it a little bit better. But Chumiti manages to. It's actually when you watch it again, Chumiti manages to sort of flick the ball over Araujo's head, and then again the control to sort of flick it into and past Sinisalo to make it 2-0. Again, I thought it was really good, and he's had his critics, Chumiti, this season, a lot of critics, but that is why you spend £9 million on a striker because you get these results, and he's a big game player. All his goals seem to be against Celtic and Hearts. I mean, it's it's a bit mental, but I think Rangers have. I think you're starting to see Chumiti sort of coming into his own at Ibrox.
Oh, we
So
got to get that mad start. See,
when you
Trinity,
go,
9 league goals, 8 of
yeah,
them were against Celtic and Hearts, and that was in 3 games.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like but then that's good because obviously they two are the closest rivals this season in terms of trying to challenge for the title, and that's where you want your striker to score the goals. I mean, obviously they want him to score more goals, obviously, but if he's chipping in with goals against Celtic and Hearts, then what can you be annoyed about? Do you know what I mean? So he's obviously a big game player.
But then you flip it up.
So
The Rangers fans are like, well, if he's doing
yeah,
it in big teams, why can't he do it against the
why
rest?
can you not doing this? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a big problem. But I'll be honest with you, if you're Rangers and you're a Rangers fan, you look at Yusuf Trimiti, and in my opinion, I think there's a lot to work with there. I think I actually thought from the start, to be honest, he did look like there is something about him. You know, he's really tall, good physique. You know, has a bit of pace as well. And then they 2 goals he scored at the weekend. I mean, you have to sit there and say that, you know, he has the potential to be a very, very top good striker. So yeah, but that was it. And then Rangers could have scored more. To be fair, in that first half, as you said, Mikey Moore caused Celtic all sorts of problems in that first half. Cal McGregor just couldn't cope with him at all. And then if you're of a Celtic persuasion, you're sitting there going, this is going to, as you said, Pearse, this is going to be a cricket score. Then the second half comes in. And once again, Rangers did start that half well. You thought it was going to be the same old, same old. Um, you know, they actually could have scored. They actually could have scored Rangers right at the start of that second half. I think it was Romans, the left back. I thought he should have done a lot better. I actually thought he should have scored it. But then it was after that chance. You know, Celtic settled down. You know, they brought Hatate on and Taneki on at half time, and I thought that helped him a lot. I thought Rio Hatate played one of his best games in a long time for Celtic. I thought he really controlled that midfield well, managed to give Celtic a lot more control in the midfield. And then I don't know what happened to Rangers, but they just sort of decided they'll sit back and they'll start playing counter attack football. And I don't think it worked for them. I think they weren't as high they weren't as high up the park as they were in the first half, and didn't think that helped them out at all. And then Celtic get the goal. Uh, God, who scored the first goal again? Can't remember now. Kieran Tierney, yes, Kieran Tierney, the header. Uh, you know, so Celtic get their way back into the game, and then from then Celtic were just pushed, and then they got that handball, which for me it was a clear handball. You know, the ball's going in the net really, and Dujon Sterling's handled it. Then you saw Rio Hatate hit the penalty, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know if you first, but I just knew he was going to miss it.
Mm.
He did miss it, but luckily, for a Celtic point of view, the ball goes back into the open play, and you know it's a tap in. But
Butland's
probably
unbelievable.
at the end of the day, sorry.
Butland unbelievable double save, but you've then got to question the Rangers plus for not reacting quick enough because the fact is he then taps it in at the third attempt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right. I know absolutely. But then at the end of the day, you have to sit there and say it is. I think a draw was a fair result. Definitely a fair result. It was actually a really good game. To be fair, it was really good. Um, and yet Hearts will be absolutely delighted with that. With that result. That's exactly what they would have wanted. Um, you know, that's him now got a good gap at that top of the table. And we're only 9 games to go here. So um, actually, before we talk about what you have to mention Motherwell, because everybody else forgets about Motherwell. They won 2-0 at the weekend. They absolutely dominated that match once again. I think how many points are they behind Celtic in third? I think it's
Two,
4. Is it 2?
2 points.
Um,
They've also got a game in hand as well. Just
yeah, and well,
like
Celtic have
Celtic.
got a game in hand yet. The other two, the 2 points behind, the 2 points behind Celtic.
Yep.
Um, and then obviously
Saying this
Motherwell
at the
play
same,
Celtic
it's a
in a couple of weeks.
four horse title race.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Even if you genuinely think Motherwell can't sustain this, right? Motherwell have conceded the least goals in the league, 18 league goals. Um, they've only conceded 2 goals in the last 10 games. And they've only
yeah,
lost 3 games this season, and one was at Aberdeen, and then one was at Celtic Park, and one was at Ibrox. And the other games they've
yeah.
played Ibrox, played Rangers off the park, played Celtic off the park, they've played Hearts off the park as well. And the fact is, let's say Motherwell's got to play Hearts, Celtic, Rangers. It's good. They're
Yeah,
going, even if they don't win the league, they're going to have a deciding factor in it. And the fact that the
yeah, yeah.
football they play is unbelievable. But let's be honest, Tom. James built Glasgow will not be at Motherwell next season.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I hope he is because I hope this isn't just a one season wonder with Motherwell where you know because they've had that manager, and he leaves, and then they sort of go back to. I really hope. Well, I actually really do hope. If I'm a Motherwell fan, I actually do hope he stays because I think he's actually building something really good there. But you know there's going to be a lot of interest in him.
Money
The likes of
talks,
Celtic
isn't
are
it?
interested in him.
Yeah, because
There's going to be teams in
even if
England and stuff.
yeah, there's going to be a massive loose clause, and teams will pay like 4 or 5 million just to get him as a manager, and then you're
Yeah,
thinking Maswini's will probably go as well in the summer.
yeah. So I know. So that is what's sad about these sort of clubs that you look at their teams and you go, "Oh, what a season they're having!" But you know there's going to be interest in these sort of guys in
Nothing
the summer,
lasts
which
forever.
is and then they're going to
Unfortunately,
replace them.
sorry, Motherwell fans, but you then need to
Well, I
go.
hope for a Millwall. I hope they do stay. I want them to stay because I actually really like that Motherwell team. I really do. I think they're by far the best team to watch this season. They really are. Like they're really good to watch. Every match I watch them, the way they play is just so good to watch. You're saying about winning the title race. I can't see Hearts dropping. They're 10 points behind Hearts. I can't see Hearts dropping 10 points now.
But like you say,
9 games
Motherwell
to
are game
go.
in hand. It's 7.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But you
Celtic won
have to
the
add
game in
into the
hand.
fact as well
Celtic
that
won the
they've got
game.
Celtic and Rangers to play.
Celtic won the
And do
game
I see?
25, and then Rangers on
Yeah,
6. Motherwell's on 7. It's not over. There's 27 points to play for. Um, After the 2 games in for Motherwell and Celtic, everyone.
yeah.
I think for me, Hearts, Motherwell, Celtic, and Rangers will all drop points at some point. It's just the fact is who's the most consistent.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, right, I'm just going to give who's winning the title. I'll just give you it. Who's going to win the title.
Who's won the title?
Who are you going to go with?
Celtic, just because Martin
Going to
factor.
go Celtic.
Martin factor.
I'm going to go with Hearts. I think we're at that point now where uh, that draw is helping them a lot now. They're out in the Scottish Cup. They're out. They've got nothing. It's only the league they need to concentrate on. And my big thing with Hearts is the fact that they've got no Stuart Finlay. They've had no Lawrence Shankland. They've had no Cammy Devlin. They've missed Beningame for a couple of games, and they're still winning games. And they've got these guys to come back. So when the league split happens, these guys will be back. So, and that's for Stephen Kingsley. He's been injured. He's a big player for Hearts as well. So I just look at that and I sit there and say, like, they're still winning games with a team that's a second sort of team. You know what I mean? And the gap they've got now, I just can't see it now. I just think it will be Hearts this season, and I think they deserve it because they've been top of the table since October. You know, they've never really had any drop off really. Um, you know, uh, and yet I just think I just don't think Celtic and Rangers are strong enough this season to because I think with Celtic and Rangers, I think both teams have to go on a win and run. And when I look at both teams, I don't see enough in the squads for them to go on a consistent win and run where they win game after game. I just can't see it. So for me, I'm going to go with Hearts. I think Hearts will win the title. But it's so close. It's such a we talk about it every week in this, but it's so good to watch this season. It really is. Every game's a really good game to watch. And then you talk about games outside of the title race. You have that Hibs game, Dundee. What a game that is! I don't know if you saw the injury time goal from Dundee at the weekend. It was what a goal that was. The control we got to hit that first time into the far corner was unbelievable. So that was such a good game as well. And then obviously you've got the relegation battle as well, which is starting to see the pattern now as it probably Livingston relegated and Kilmarnock in the playoff, but still a little bit of football to play left. So we'll see what happens there. So just before we move into Pearse's Asian football news, we just want to quickly, it's a bit different this, but we just quickly want to bring you a little bit of news from Brazilian football. So we just found out today that Flamengo have sacked the former Chelsea and Atletico Madrid left back, Felipe Luis. So Felipe Luis has just been sacked just a day after he won a cup semi-final 11-0 on aggregate. Uh, so Felipe Luis he guided Flamengo to the Brazilian league title and Copa Libertadores trophy in the space of a few days, just, you know, a few months ago. He was also averaging a trophy every 13 matches at Flamengo. Now, on the other hand, they have sort of started the season not great. They lost the Brazilian and South American Super Cup finals, and they also have begun the league campaign with one win, one draw, and one loss. And they also have actually spent a lot of money, Flamengo, quite surprising for a Brazilian football team. And that's, for example, they spent 36.5 million on Lucas Paqueta. So, yeah, Pearse, just quickly, Felipe Luis sacked by Flamengo. What's your thoughts?
Pretty shocked because everything I've heard about Phil Police is positive in terms of he's one of the best up and coming young managers out there. And like you say, if you're averaging a trophy every 13 games, then why would you ever sack him? I think that's incredible. And then that is, like you say, went 11-0 in an aggregate over a Brazilian Cup semi-final, won the game 8-0, and then right after the game, he's been sacked. So there must have been something wrong internally because for me, I watched him at the Club World Cup in the summer when Flamengo were a part of it, and they went really far and they tested
Yeah.
PSG, Chelsea, and I thought the football they played, the brand of football, that was the first time I've ever seen them play. Because also we don't really watch Brazilian footballs in Asia or in Europe where you're based at the moment. So for me, um, it's surprising, and for me, he'll get a job easily in Europe. I think that was the next step for him anyway, because he only signed a contract extension back in December. So for me, really surprising considering, like you said, they've backed him heavily in the summer. But I think he'll get a top job in Europe, and there's a number of clubs needing a manager in Europe, and I think he will go to the next level.
Yeah. I'm surprised as well. I don't watch Brazilian football, I'll be honest with you, so I can't give, a big honest prediction as to why Filipe Luis this has happened to Filipe Luis. All I do know is that in Brazilian football there is quite a pattern of managers getting sacked very quickly. I don't know. I don't. There's not really a lot of um, sustainability for Brazilian football managers in the Brazilian league. So I know that, but I mean, you look at Felipe Luis's situation. I think it's incredible. Winning the trophies last season. That's the equivalent of the Champions League and winning the Liga or the Premier League in Europe. So, and for him to be sacked a few months later, I think that it is quite a shock. He is an up and coming manager. He was very well noticed in the Club World Cup, as you said. He's actually been touted as Diego Simeone's replacement whenever he decides to leave Atletico Madrid. So I hope this doesn't, sort of derail his management career because I actually do think he's a really good manager. And I'll be honest with you, I do think Flamengo might regret that decision because he's done such a good job and he's getting very well noticed, especially in Europe as well. So yeah, just thought we should bring you that. It was quite a shock to be honest, but yeah, we'll see what Felipe Luis goes next after this. So for the final part of the show, Pearson give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so the K League One has officially returned last weekend. So on Saturday, 20th of February, we had Incheon United 1, FC Seoul 2, Ulsan HDFC 3, Gangwon FC 1, Gimcheong Sangwoo 1, Pohang Steelers 1. And we had two matches on Sunday, and that was Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 2, Bukchon FC 1995 3, and Jeju SK 0, Gwangju FC 0. So at the top of the table, first week, we've got Ulsan on top. Second, we've got newly promoted Bukchon, who unbelievable start to the season. First game, back in the top flight in a number of years. And FC Seoul make up the top three, all in 3 points, separate by just the one goal. And then at the bottom half the table, we've got Gangwon off the terrible start on 0 points. Incheon also losing the opening round, and then 10th is Jeonbuk. Last season's champions got off to a really poor start at the start of the season. We also have, so we didn't really touch on the Japanese league because I wanted to wait until both leagues are up and running. But the Japanese league has got a new system where it's kind of now similar to the American system in terms of rather than one league, It's got 2 leagues split, so it's 10 and 10, so it's east and west side of Japan. So in terms of the east, so we'll read out all the fixtures first. So Friday the 27th of February with Machida Zelvia 2, Jeff United Chiba 1, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 1, Kyoto Sanga FC 2, Vissel Kobe 2, Avisa Fukuoka 1. Saturday 28th of February, Yokohama F Mariners 3, Tokyo Verde 2, Ura Diamonds 2, Cashew Antlers 3, FC Tokyo 0, Kashi Reysol 2, Gambo Osaka 2, Shimizu S Pulse 2, with Gambo Osaka winning 5-4 on penalties. And that's a new thing that the J League has done. So if you draw a game, it goes automatically to penalties because they want to avoid stalemates and they want to make it exciting and fresh. And I think for me that's a brilliant thing. We also had V Varen Nagasaki 1, Cerezo Osaka 0, and then Sunday, the first of March with 2 matches. That was Fagiano Okayama FC 1, Nago Grampus 1, with Fagiano Okayama winning 5-4 in penalties. And the last game of the weekend was Kawasaki Frontale 2, Mito Hollyhock 2, with Kawasaki Frontale winning 4-2 on penalties. So a little bit about the point system in the J League 1 this season. So a win in regular time is 3 points. A shootout win after a draw is 2 points. A shootout loss after draw is 1 point. And then loss in regular time is your 0 points. So in terms of the East, 10 teams, top of the table, Cashew Antlers, 10 points after 4 matches with a +4 goal difference. Second, we've got Machida Zelvia on 9 points. And in third position, we've got Tokyo Verde on 8 points. And at the bottom of the table, we've got Jeff United on 2 points. 9th, we've got Yokohama F Mariners on 3 points. And also on 3 points with the same goal difference of a -3. That is Kashiwa Reysol. And in the west side of the J League, we've got top of the table, we've got Kyoto Sanga FC on 9 points. Sanfrecce Hiroshima on 8 points. And also Vissel Kobe joint second on 8 points with also a +2 goal difference. And at the bottom of the table, we've got Avispa Fukuoka on 2 points. And 8th and 9th position, we've got Fagiano, Okayama, and Cerezo Osaka both on 4 points, with separated by just the 1 goal. And that is all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.